Wonder Woman issue 4, Legacy 804, Tom King writing with Daniel Sampier on the art. Now, this is a comic book, Matt.
Yes.
This is very good.
Yes.
I mean, weirdly, I might say it's the weakest of the 4 issues so far, but that's not, you know, in any way to say this is anything less than great. It's just that the first 3 were so exceptional.
Yeah, by weakest, it's not because it feels so detached from what we have been doing. It definitely feels like the calm before the storm. It almost is like a brief interlude before things really get popping.
Yeah, because you know, it starts with news broadcasts talking about that soldier committed suicide and how that's spreading and it's turning the people against Wonder Woman. Public opinion's really down. And the story of this issue is, you know, there's 2 sides to it. The Wonder Woman side is that she is effectively doing like a Make-A-Wish type thing, where despite the fact that this kid's parents are kind of with the public and don't like her now anymore because of all this bad press and everything going on with the Amazons, she is there because this kid, Jack, I think his name is dying. He's got a terminal illness, and she is going to spend the day with him and take him wherever he wants to go. And he says he's Wonder Woman's biggest fan. He's got posters around and all that. And that's what that, you know, so that plot's about that. And he wants to go to Themyscira, and she's like, yep, I'll take you there. It's a bit weird there right now because of all the tensions, but if that's what you want, that's what I'll do. So it makes her very endearing to the reader. Meanwhile, the Sovereign is in the president's ear, and it's all about having the president basically further this narrative with the public and get the public to turn against. And we don't get to hear what his speech is. We get little teases and glimpses of, like, a lot of it's the Sovereign saying things like, no, you keep saying Wonder Woman too much. Don't address her by name. It humanizes her. You know, you have to demonize. You have to say she's the enemy of the people and really talk down to her. The main thing we got out of that, though, is that the president gets on his knees and kisses his ring. It's the set, you know, because he says, hey, maybe we shouldn't do that. He's like, hey, just because I'm polite and say I suggest something does not mean it's a suggestion. It means it's an order.
He even refers to his mother as the Queen Mother, which is like a monarchy thing.
Yeah.
Right? And that to me, as a student of American history, is the complete opposite, right? So to see a president, whether, you know, whoever this is supposed to be, you know, it's someone, you know, like a DC creation, because you never get a clear shot on the president, right? You just see the gray hair and whatever.
I think that's by design, so it's like, it could be any president almost.
But, like, just seeing a president bow down to a bigger power like that just really unnerved me, which, like, good on you, Tom King. Like, because just the whole idea, like, you'll do what every other president has done, and that's kiss the ring. And I was like, oh, no, Teddy did not kiss no ring. I'll tell you that much, you know? So it also makes me think that the Sovereign, beyond the you know, we know he's got the lasso of lies, right? And I'm wondering if, like, the power of persuasion and that type of stuff, that's almost like the opposite of truth, that you can convince people through these lies, you know, and that's what he's working at here.
Oh yeah, that's what we've been talking about. I mean, that was the whole thing last issue, is he brought it out to convince the soldier to do what he was going to do. That's the entire basis of what the Sovereign are doing.
No, I know that, but I didn't see him have the lasso when he was talking to the president, right?
I don't think he needs it. I think they've put themselves in such a position of power. They don't have to use it with everyone, you know?
Right. So, you know, he's just got that skill that he's able to do all this, and it makes him feel like we always talk about the kind of lack of a rogues gallery for Diana, right? We know there's Sheeta and Veronica Cale and the gods and whatnot, but, like, to have, like, an actual threat, I feel like it's been a minute to her.
Yeah, I mean, she does have a gallery, but yeah, it's been a while since Ed have been propped up in such a big way. I think, you know, this issue, it spends a lot of time with Diana, sort of the idea that she's not even paying attention as her name's being sullied, as her reputation's been attacked. She's doing this nice, very selfless thing for this kid. And it's this contrast of, like, one side is scheming, and, you know, the art reflects this. You know, a lot of that art when the Sovereign's in the Oval Office, you know, there's a lot of low angles looking up at him, and he's this wrinkly old man. It's very evil and very kind of like, oh, he's this little devil who's
like cagey, like he's, you know,
Yeah, whereas then you go to the art of the other stuff, the main story, and it's very colorful and pulpy. The red and the blues that the kids wearing are really popping. Diana's, and I think one of the things is that Diana is very apprehensive at times during this because she's nervous about going to Paradise Island. She's nervous about various things. But the moment when she sees the reaction on the kid's face when she sees him for the first time, she smiles in this genuine way, and this is like a real credit to the art where you really get at that moment all those worries fade away, and she's just delighted that she's means something to this kid and that she's making this kid's day. So yeah, all that stuff, taking him on the visible jet, going to the island, spending the day sort of teaching him about Themyscira and stuff. And then even the bitter end where he's like, oh, I wish this could be, more. And he's sad because and he even says, I know I'm dying. I know that's what's happening. And she just gave him one nice day. And that was more important than, paying attention to all this other shit that's going on. So it's very much like you say, it's a more downbeat issue. Whereas the first three issues, I feel like it's big things were happening.
Yeah.
This is more the rumblings in between as it's building up to the next thing. But I love some of the art stuff they did here where you see like the blurry reflection of the president in the camera lens when they're filming this interview or this statement to the press. And you don't get to see, again, what he says. You just get these little indications. And then later on, towards the end of the book, there's sort of mirroring that. There's a close-up panel of the Sovereign's kind of like eye, and you can see that same blurry reflection of the president on his glasses. But obviously you can see his eye because he's sort of looking down over them in that kind of peering way, like, we're keeping an eye on you kind of thing. It's very good.
Well, and it does this thing with the balance of it, like, through this we've had the dialogue boxes have been the Sovereign, right? They've been in blue. But here, as people are reacting to the president's speech, it's Diana's, she's talking to the kid, on Themyscira. And we're getting, so it's almost like a balance of, this is what's going on in her head while all this other stuff is going on. And it's almost like a counter. And this is why she is who she is. And I really like that. Again, that's King working with the artist, like, flawlessly.
Well, I'm just checking. So you're saying it switches to her narration at that point in the book?
Yeah, so you go and she's with the kid and he's crying because he feels like there's something wrong because all the people, he should like Superman or Batman, but he doesn't. He loves Wonder Woman, and is it because he's sick like inside? And she goes, "Oh no, there's nothing wrong with you."
Oh no, I get what you're saying, but what I'm saying is that the blue narration boxes never stop being the Sovereign. It's always him when it's those.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I get what you're saying. So, you just mean she sort of speaks her mind finally, so you get to hear more what she's thinking. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Exactly. While all of this other stuff is going on, where we don't get to see what the president's saying because we're in Diana's, and what she's talking about is kind of addressing all of this. Like how she thinks they're, I think they're fools, like the gods, all their pomp and thunder. And then it's Steve, because he's gotten into a fight with other people about Diana. Yeah, he's in the brig.
They're bad-mouthing her, and they're saying that she cut off his dick, effectively.
Yep.
And even though Steve's warned that if he does anything else, he'll go straight to the brig, he punches the dude in the face. It's very satisfying, to be honest. It's a good little moment. But yeah, it's very much this again. Obviously the story that is propagating is this idea that this is emasculating the men, so therefore we should all rise up against Wonder Woman and the Amazons. We have to fight back against this example of a strong woman. So it's definitely feeding into all that sort of the misogynistic propaganda that they've been kind of spreading, and the Sovereign's been talking about since the start. But again, I think it's interesting now that we're in issue 4 that clearly, as we've been going on, it's been more and more overt where in the narration with and it's the Sovereign talking to her daughter in the future, is now he's saying things like, "Oh, your mother did this." Like he's directly referencing that now. It's not as much of a secret anymore. Right. So we're getting a lot more direct calls to the context of all this. In fact, the issue even ends with a little tease where the Jack, the kid, says, you'd make a good mother someday. And she's like, oh, can you imagine me a mother? Oh no, that'd be what child deserves.
That fate.
Yeah.
Does any child deserve that fate? And it's very funny, tongue in cheek, but because I was thinking the same thing, the way she is with this kid, right?
It's also kind of ominous though, right? Like, because it makes you think of like, okay, obviously we're seeing these backup stories where it seems like she has a decent childhood, but it's also kind of ominous, like, well, she ends up in like a jail cell with the Sovereign at some point, so maybe there is some bad stories ahead for Trinity.
Yeah, I just think the fact is, I don't think like Diana, because there's another part in here where they, Philippus is left in charge because Nubia is out dealing with the Amazon attacks story, right? And Hippolyta is ascended to godhood. She's the goddess of the Amazonians now. So Philippus is in charge, and when they're like, oh, Diana's brought a young boy to the island, what are we going to do? And Philippus is like, look, all the Queen of the Amazons has known, like, yes, we lead our people and our people listen, but when it comes to Diana, we just let her do what she needs to do, and it's just almost like this respect for her. It says she does not, despite her hallowed power and duty, ever rule Diana. So, like, the Queen of the Amazons has a lot of power, but when it comes to Diana, Diana's going to do what she wants. Yeah. And she's earned that. It's not like she's being insolent or going out of her way. It's, just let her cook, if you will. And then that also leads to a great page that I just want to highlight of their day on the island, right? And they're sword fighting. They're riding Jumpa. He gets to throw the tiara. She's doing push-ups with him on her back.
Yeah, you mentioned the exchange a little bit earlier, but I want to just go back to it a little bit, which is the exchange where he's basically saying, is there something wrong with me because I'm a boy, I'm supposed to like Superman or Batman? And she hugs him and says there's nothing wrong with him. I think that's incredibly a sweet little poignant thing, this idea that he is looked upon like a weirdo because he's not conforming to the things that he's expected to like. He's a young boy who for whatever reason he's attracted to Wonder Woman, and not in like a physical attraction way, but he's attracted to her for whatever reason, more than the other heroes. And that's okay, and it makes you it makes you think of those like crazy stories of like dads getting really weird because their kid likes a Barbie or something like that. It's like, oh no, why is my son playing with a doll? Oh no, like it kind of makes you think of that a little bit, and it sort of ties into that. And
it's true that if you treat both with respect, it doesn't matter. The kid likes what a kid likes. A toy is a toy at the end of the day. The adults are the ones that determine if it's a boy's toy or a girl's toy.
Well, that's the sad part of that question though that he asks is the idea that he's feeling guilty because he knows his parents don't like that he likes Wonder Woman. So you can make that an allegory for all sorts of things, for being gay, for being whatever. Like you can say that represents so many different things. So it's really sad that this kid's having to question, like, is there something wrong with them just because he likes something, he likes someone, that's right. It's wild. Like, it's like he's been punished for looking up to a strong female figure. It's wild.
Well, and just the idea that, like, is he sick, and not just with his sickness, right? He's visioning, he's picturing this as that there's inherently something wrong that needs to be fixed, when really it's just like, no, he likes Wonder Woman. And as we've seen from that soldier, what led to him getting the lasso of lies is like, she's on the Justice League, man. Like, she's a hero just like Superman and Batman. There's no shame in getting our butts kicked by her, So it's that kind of healthy take on her. That's what this kid already has,
That's the point of that whole thing, is that soldier, he needed to break out the lasso of lies because, this soldier actually has, like, ideals. He actually has a healthy view on things. It's almost that thing where we'll scare people into believing the right things, and for those in society who are a bit too strong in their morals or their beliefs, or have too much of a strong idea of what they believe in, that's when we break out the cheat code. We break out the lasso. So, and I think that's why the lasso of lies was nowhere in the White House. He didn't need it because this is clearly something the presidents, when they're sworn in, like they find out, no, we work for the Sovereign. Like this is just part of the system.
And again, this is where I'll give King credit, is like, I want her to smash this dude so much. Like, especially after this issue where we see, you know, her spending her day. Like, she has all the stuff that she has to worry about, but she's taking time out of her day to give this little boy his dream, you know? And I think, too, the fact that it is a boy and that she bends the rules to get him to Paradise Island. Because he even feels kind of sheepish asking to go. And she's like, no, I'm Wonder Woman. We're going to go if you want to go.
Yeah, he's worried that he doesn't have the right to ask that. Like, he doesn't belong there kind of thing. And it's very innocent. In fact, one of the news reports things earlier on, there's like a quote from like a senator or something saying, make no mistake, that suicide was Wonder Woman's fault. She was in that room. She pulled the trigger. And it's wild to read that this week because, not to depress you, Matt, but I don't know if you heard... I'm forgetting his first name. The guy who played Jonathan Kent on Smallville.
Yeah, he's a moron.
Yeah, well, but let me explain to the audience what I'm talking about.
Go ahead.
He called for the execution of the president because he sees him as a traitor, right? And it's that type of language that reminded me of, is like this senator saying, oh, she was in the room, she pulled the trigger. No, she wasn't. Like, that's not how this works.
Well, he used to be my favorite Pa Kent. Like, I liked him. For all the flaws of that show, it was never because of Pa Kent.
Yeah, no, I'm using it as an example here. I'm not talking about that specifically, but it's just that type of, like...
brain poisoning.
I want to say hyperbole, but it doesn't feel right either. But you get the point I'm making here. It's this idea of pushing this narrative that you believe in so vividly, by just saying things very extremely in a way. I just, you know, it's going for shock value. It's going for trying to garner support in these wild ways. So I don't know. It reminded me a lot of that when I read that particular panel.
It was, that was kind of there too, reading, because this was the last thing I read this week. I kind of built up to Wonder Woman, and yeah, it does. And again, King is in the DC, like, not the circles, but he lives in DC, right? He's kind of at the forefront of all the stuff, you know. So he's, I think, a little bit tuned into it more than most people. So it doesn't surprise me that a celebrity saying something stupid lines up with the week that Wonder Woman comes out, you know? But yeah.
I mean, there's an example every other week, really. That just happens to be one that's more DC Comics related because the actor happened to be known for a DC Comics show.
Yeah. For sure.
So,
but,
yeah.
Also got Cheetah. I'm wondering how she's gonna factor into this. She's sitting there listening because, you know, we all know her complex relationship with Diana and the Amazons. So I thought that was a curious beat to pop that up.
Yeah, specifically, she's listening to the speech the president's making.
I'm trying to think if we've left anything else out. I don't think. I mean, they meet. Waller meets with what's his name, Sergeant Steele, and she kind of. What does she do here? Talking about. I'm trying to just go over this page. Stop asking questions.
I could tell you if you want. We don't have to.
Yeah, go ahead. I just had to get the coverage. Sorry.
Basically, she's like, "Oh, bring in a bunch of superhero powered people, not superheroes." Sorry. She's building. I don't know if it's a Suicide Squad specifically, but she's saying, you know, I think she basically makes a comment about a bunch of different. So she alludes to a bunch of characters that I'm sure some people have sat and like thought about and figured out who they all are. But it's like, you know, bring the Doctor, bring the whatever. So basically, Steele's going to have a team of villains, presumably, to try and help fight Wonder Woman.
Well, that's what it made me wonder, because he says, and the big cat, too. So I'm wondering if that's where she's coming in, you know, with Cheetah.
Yeah, not very possibly. No, very good issue. It may be the weakest of the four, but only because by its nature, it's not as big and exciting an issue, but it does set the stage quite a bit. And the fact that we're seeing Wonder Woman do this kind thing over the course of the issue, when the B plot is just trying to demonize her in every way possible. What was that, Matt?
So I was answering a thing and my phone went rogue. So I was just checking a text and yeah. So
the backup is more of young Trinity with the boys.
Damien and
Yeah, and the complaint of them, like, particularly Damien, being too young in this, given the age that Trinity is, still tracks. But
I'm wondering if there's something up to it though, because she's meant to be 13 here, right? And John and Damien don't look much older than the last time we saw them. Like, so I'm wondering if there's some Amazonian timey, agey shenanigans at play here.
It's possible, but like even if she's like born from clay, like I mean, maybe she could start off at like 10 years old or something. I don't know, but it still feels a bit weird.
Yeah, no, it does. It absolutely feels weird, but I'm feeling like there's, I don't know. After the outcry last month, because that was along the same lines of Damien looking so young, and is it the same artist? Was it Ortega? Last time as well?
I don't remember. I don't remember.
So I can look real quick. But yeah, this one is they're at the Fortress of Solitude. Justice League's in another dimension, doing Justice League stuff. And Trinity, or Lizzie, gets into Black Mercy, which I thought was really funny. It's almost like getting into the, trying to think of something like the tool chest. You're not supposed to be playing with that stuff. And just the interplay here between Damien and John, I thought was really spot on. They keep telling each other when this is over, I'm going to kill you, in a way that only best friends can talk to each other.
Yeah, I mean, she's basically she's in a Black Mercy dream, and she's at like a Coliseum style thing in Themyscira, and there's representations of John and Damien fighting on the battlefield. Which it's basically just her imagining that she's like the queen in charge, and they're just fighting under her rule, kind of thing. But ultimately, they pull the Black Mercy off of her, and that's basically it. That's the story.
Well, and like it doesn't sit right with her that she was beating them, because those are her brothers. Like, she has nothing but the most respect for them, which I thought was a nice little twist of that Black Mercy story, right? Because in the Black Mercy story, it's Black Mercy giving you what you want to, feel and see, while it overtakes your whole body. And so for the fact, like, she's like not even sure that's what she wants, right? So I like that little wrinkle there. Yeah, it was the same artist last time. So it was Bell and Ortega. So, maybe that's just the art style. I'm not sure. But it is a bit distracting, Damien looking like he's 12 still, when she's supposed to be 13.
Yeah, it's just a bit weird. Yeah, I think the backup's fine. Like, I don't think it was as good as last time's backup, but it's it's building up this idea of the relationship between the kids. So we'll see where it goes, and maybe we'll get some answers as to how the ages line up down the line. But yeah, I think main stories though very, very good. The run continues to be very strong, even if this was the quieter issue of the bunch for me. But what are you rating Wonder Woman issue 4, Matt?
I'm gonna give this a solid 8.
I'm happy to go with the 8.5.
Okay.
I still think it's maybe a bit above that level.